Good morning. Today is Monday, November 9th, and I'm Maria Quattrone with Be the Solution, and I'm excited today to welcome my guest, Chase Lenfest. Welcome, Chase. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to see you and have you today on our show, and I am excited to speak with you about the Lenfest Center and everything that's going on at North 10. So let's just dive right into it.
Well, I had the Lenfest Center built in 2008 in Hunting Park, an area in North Philly, and the center's on 10th Street and Pike, just a couple blocks north of Erie Avenue. And I chose that location after a couple years of looking in the city and trying to come up with the best place actually to build a police athletic league center. I was on the
PAL.
Yeah, I was on the PAL board, and I was also on the Squash Smarts board, where it's an organization where you get kids that normally would never. Most kids haven't heard of squash, but especially kids in North Philly and South Philly and Southwest Philly and other parts of the country that are more impoverished. And mostly squash is played at places like Penn Charter, where my son goes to school, not Upper Moreland High School where I went to school, and I ended up playing at Yale University and got recruited to Yale and Harvard and Princeton and some other schools many, many years ago. So I was on the board of Squash Smarts, which had just come to Philadelphia. And we had kids from West Philly that were playing at Drexel. I would go to some of the schools in West Philly and try to recruit the kids. And then Drexel hired the former #1 squash player in the world, John White, and Drexel became much bigger in squash, so they were looking for a new facility. And PAL wanted to have a new facility in the North Philly area, so eventually I chose Hunting Park and had that built in 2008, the Lenfest Center. And so
How did you choose that particular area in Philadelphia?
Well, I actually drove up and down the streets on and off for a year. I mean, not 30 times, but probably 6 or 8 times. I wanted it to be in an area that had different ethnicities. So on the one side of the Lenfest Center is basically Hispanic, and the other side is basically African American. And I thought I wanted a place that was located not close to any other recreational centers or PAL centers. So an area that sorely needed it, but also would be ethnicity driven, where I would have African American on one side, Hispanic on the other, so it would have an additional synergistic benefit of bringing the two together, because there's kind of a line around 9th or 10th Street where you have African Americans predominantly on one side and you have Hispanics on the other. And my ex-wife and mother of my 2 kids was from Panama, so I thought that would be nice as well. So eventually I found this 11-acre property, which was industrial, and bought an acre from them. So I built the center from ground up. I didn't build it, but I paid for people to do the work. And that was a wonderful thing. And that was 2008. PAL is great, but I wanted a much deeper connection with the students, with the kids that come to my center. So I hired someone, and instead of having the PAL, I took it over personally, the responsibility, around 2012, and hired someone to run it. And he did a good job. And then I found a guy, Josh Claris, who has a master's in education from Harvard, who taught a Jewish gentleman who grew up in New York and taught for Teach for America in the Bayou area in Louisiana. And then he was in the public school system in New York for 30 some years and started his own charter school in Harlem, and then went to Harvard for a master's in education. And he's amazing. I wouldn't have any confidence trying to accomplish the dreams I now have had I not found Josh Claris. And I started reading books, The Harlem Children's Zone, How Children Succeed, and started doing some research. And I realized having a center for kids is great. They're off the street. We have double Dutch, and we have poetry, and we have sports, 8 squash courts, and we have, other sports and step class and art and music and all sorts of things. And they're off the street. That's great. But you can't drive a car with one good tire. So if the school's not really good, or if the school's not good in general, and if there's a lot of crime, all these things are the situation there. And the housing's kind of falling apart, and they have no safe or no places to get quality food that's close enough. All the things that we generally have in the suburbs, they don't have. So, one, it's not fair. 2, I can do something about it. And so I realized I want to take this a step further, several steps further, and I want to build affordable homes. I want to fix up the homes that are falling apart. I want to get rid of the crime. I want to bring in quality food. I want to fix up the school, all these things.
That's a tall order to fill, Chase.
Yes. Mostly from what I'm aware, that's been gentrified in Philadelphia is Center City, spreading from Center City. It's gone south to Washington, and now it's gone into Point Breeze. And there's some tension there, like anywhere where it gentrifies. And it's gone north, like by Brewery Town around 30th and Girard, a little north. And then there's the Fish Town and the Port Richmond and the,
Allegheny West, Shrubbery Mansion, Grace Ferry.
Yeah, where this is, where my area of influence between 9th Street and Broad and between Allegheny and Luzerne, there's nothing within miles that's gentrified. So, I'm unaware of any area in the city of Philadelphia, maybe in the country, that you have an area that's at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder at the same time that has a great school, that has great after-school center, that has quality food available, that doesn't have the crime. The business corridor on Germantown Avenue between Erie and Temple Hospital, halfway to Allegheny going south, is an area I'm going to be working on a lot in the future. So I'm only in the incipient stages. I'm maybe in the second inning. The center, the hotel that I bought, the Liberty Motel, which was notorious for drugs and prostitution, and it was a real eyesore in the neighborhood, right across from the school where most of the kids come to my center go to, Mary McLeod Bethune. And it was just terrible for the area. 1,400 calls to the police, 9 or 10 murders over the years. And so I bought that and a skating rink and a bar and a couple other properties. I'm going to build 41 affordable homes, and we're going to have a health center with Temple Hospital. It's not a done deal, but we're pretty close on the ground floor. So I have my center. I'm going to build these 41 affordable homes, put a health center on the first floor. The eyesore is now gone. And then it's piece by piece. We have a list A to Z of things we want to do for this neighborhood to make it the very best for the people that live there. They deserve it. Why should I have what they don't have? It's not fair. So that's why I'm doing this.
What are the most important things that you need right now?
The school. There's a great principal at the school that's gone through the Joe Neubauer principal training. But schools are handicapped, the public schools. My brother started Mastery, which is the largest charter school system in Philadelphia. But public schools, because it's bureaucratic, they're not allowed to really spend the money the way they want to. They don't have the flexibility of a charter school. So my goal is to keep it a public school, work with Dr. Haidt, come up with some solutions as to some ideas on how we can make the school much better. So it's at the bottom when it comes to math and English, proficiency, the tests that they do. The playground's falling apart, so we're working with a great organization to try to put about $500,000 in to fix the playground. So the school is a top priority. The crime in the area needs to be reduced. Kids can't be going to school worried about getting beat up and when they leave school. And you can't have the drug dealing and the prostitution on Old York Road. We have to get rid of that. And the business corridor, Germantown Avenue, needs a lot of help during the riots and the looting. It's a shame that people hurt their own neighborhoods in some degree. I'm not sure, though, that the people that did the looting there are from this neighborhood. Probably not, actually.
Probably not.
Probably not. But
I think they're coming in droves from all different areas.
Yeah. And so I want the business corridor to have the lighting that they need, the safety they need. I really want the business area there to be owned by the people in the neighborhood. So you have these check cashing kind of places, that these national companies that come in and siphon out,
right,
suck out the money that should stay in the community. So we want to help the entrepreneurial spirited people in the neighborhood to have their own businesses within the neighborhood. And so the money will stay in there. And I'm talking about getting credit union involved in this somewhat grandiose idea where there's a couple examples, I think in Kensington, a couple other parts of the country where they have like a local bank credit union that lends money to the people in the neighborhood to keep the money in the neighborhood. But I want it to be self-sustaining. So I want to have more park area. I want certain traffic areas or a lot of accidents. So, it's not fair. I'm out here in Gladwin. I didn't grow up in a rich, privileged environment, despite what some people think. But out here in Gladwin, I go to Wawa. I'm not worried about getting stuck up by someone with a gun. It's not really fair. There's some people that have and some people that haven't. And it's a lot of systemic racism. Not a lot of people that aren't trying to be racist, but it's just not set up for these kids to succeed. If I grew up there without a father around and a mother working a couple jobs and people trying to sell drugs and trying to get you to sell drugs or me to sell drugs, and there's so much trying to pull you down. You're carrying books. You think you're going to be white. You think you can lead this neighborhood. You think you're better than us. I mean, so many pressures. To me, it's amazing that some kids end up doing really well. I don't know if I'd be that strong if I was in their position, their situation, but it's sad. And so I want to help these kids.
Yeah, it's sad, and no doubt it is a very, very tough neighborhood. What's going on with the center right now with COVID? Are the kids able to utilize the center?
Yeah, it was closed from March until the end of September. I kept all my employees. We did a tremendous amount of work with the neighborhood regarding food, staying up with the kids that come to my center and their families. So a lot of outreach. But we opened the end of September. The kids have to wear masks. It's limited the amount of kids that we do have because of COVID. So we have about 45 kids that come in daily on the first floor. Squash Smarts is a separate organization that I have on the second floor, and they haven't started with the squash yet. But we don't have step class, and we don't have some of the other physical activity classes, double dutch, and we don't have the sports like the basketball that we did. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. And I hope the vaccine, just saw on the news today, I forget which drug company, but I know the futures in the market's way up because of this.
Yes. So I think it was Pfizer. They said the vaccine is 90% effective. I heard that on KYW News Radio.
Now, if they can get it to people in masses and if people are going to take it.
That's a whole nother thing. I've talked to many people. I asked them, are you going to take it? I'd say 70% told me no.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. You know, I haven't taken I had a flu shot this year for the first time in a long time, just because it was easy. I mean, I went to CVS. I had it a couple times years ago when they used to come to my company and just give the flu shot. So I've just been kind of a little bit lazy.
Did you get sick?
No.
And last time.
And I don't think I've had the flu before, you know, but a lot of times in the winter I travel a decent amount, so probably had less probability of getting sick.
Yeah, the last time I had the flu shot, I got sick. So I haven't had one, and I'm debating still if I should get it or not this year.
Yeah, they're rushing stuff through a little faster, but you know, they have 40 or 60,000 people in these trials, and with COVID going up so much and the hospital systems can get overrun. And so if people get the flu shot, less people get the flu, less people go in the hospital, they may need the space. So I thought this year I should definitely do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that myself. So in regards to the 41 affordable homes, where are you in the process?
Well, we had a big debate internally. Do we want to be the developer? And when I had my center built and my brother's building the W Hotel, you know, being a developer is tough, especially if you're not an expert on real estate, and change orders come around and having to deal with all this. There's a lot of risk. But we're going to be the developer because we decided we're going to be the developer after much debate, because we want to control the project. We want to learn, get more experience being a developer, because there's other properties within this catchment area that I'm responsible to myself to do everything I can to improve. But we are going to have other projects in the future, so we might as well learn as much as we can. And we don't want the 41 affordable homes to be able to be sold in the future and have it gentrified. So we want to control it. So we're going to go out for bids probably in the next couple months. Stone Sherrick has been helping us. They're wonderful. They helped us get the financing, the low-income housing tax credits. And so that's something my foundation is putting the money up to get initially started, but it's not supposed to end up costing. It's not supposed to end up costing money. It's supposed to break even. Right. At the end of the day, with the money you get from the different agencies. If it costs money, then my principal goes down, and then I have less money I can spend at my center for all the programs I have at my center and so forth.
Are these going to be for rent or for sale product? No,
they're for rent. So based upon what someone can pay. So I think the average amount someone can pay maybe $300 or $400 a month, and their value of $800 or $900. And then we're working with Temple Hospital to put health services on the first floor. We've talked to the free library system and the YMCA, so a lot of different entities, but we need someone to make this work, to pay the basic amount of what the rent would be, so it's not negative cash flow, which would then take away from other programs. And it's the first time I'm going to have to go out, not for this project, because it should be neutral as far as costing money or not. But it's coming up will be the first time I'm going to be going out in the next year or so and starting to raise money, because the Harlem Children's Home spends $100 million a year. And they have 10,000 kids. At least that's when I read the book several years ago. That's 10,000 a kid. Well, I'm spending in my own foundation money almost $3 million a year. Well, that's about 7% of what I have in the foundation. So I'm a little over what's sustainable. But hopefully my businesses will make money and then I can put more money in. But I'm going to have to go out and raise money. Maybe our budget's going to be 30 or 40 million a year, and I'm spending 3 of that. So I'm used to people asking me for money. It's going to be different me asking others for money. I was a stockbroker when I was a kid. Well, not a kid, but I was kind of a kid, 24 to 30 years old. And I had to call on this, get the cold directory and call people. Hi, it's Chase Lenfest. How are you today? What do you want? I'm having dinner. Why are you bothering me? And, so I got used to rejection.
You're making those 200 calls a day?
Yeah. And I got into it. And when I was a kid, I went to Upper Moreland High School. My parents bought a house for $35,000 when I was 2 years old, 2,100 square foot, 3-bedroom. And even though my father became a billionaire with suburban cable, they lived in that house up until he died 2 years ago was their primary residence. Never had air conditioning in the house, but I don't remember being hot. We had a nice big fan. It was down a hill. We had trees. But when I grew up, I had a little PSF savings account in Willow Grove, and I would cut golf balls for $1 a basket. I was 9, 10, 11 years old and ride my bike and put in like $2 into the bank. And I sold Christmas cards and burglar alarm stickers and worked as a landscaper. And so I was always trying to make money. So but now I'm going to have to go out and ask people for money. And so I'm making a list. People on Facebook that I know and people when I run into people. I've never had a wealthy friend. My friends are my friends I've had most of my life. And, I haven't tried to avoid having a wealthy friend. I just never ended up becoming really close to anyone wealthy. So I don't have personal friends to ask for money. But we have to prepare what we'd be asking money for. For example, do you want to help out the school playground at Mary McLeod Bethune? Do you want to help with the school budget overall? Do you want to help with fixing up the business quarter? Do you want to help bring a supermarket like Jeffrey Brown does into poor neighborhoods? So my father was great at that. He sold his cable business when he was 70, and he worked real hard. I never spent a lot of time with my father. He worked and worked and worked. And when he was 70 years old, he sold the business. And he said, I want to die penniless. And he wanted to put all of his energy for the turned out to be 17 years of his life, to do as much good as he can. So all of a sudden he had this $1.5 billion, $2 billion. And now he realized that's a hell of a responsibility. So he worked and worked. He didn't go out and play golf. He didn't do much of anything. Sometimes he'd go sailing for little trips, but I'm sure he brought his work and worked half the time. And he was working until, I saw him 2 days before he died in his hospital. He's telling me, because he was too sick to grab the phone, to give him the phone and put it next to his ear. And he doesn't even know who's calling. There's no name. Dad, there's no name on it. Give me the phone. Just because he wanted to do as much as he could.
Unbelievable. What a man. He did amazing things for the community and for so many people. And I read up on the story of you and your father, and I was pretty amazed at how they lived in that house that they bought all those years.
Yeah, they have a place at Rittenhouse, not the hotel, but 1820 Rittenhouse. They had pretty nice apartment, but they were the least ostentatious, people for the wealth they had. My mom, she's 87. When she would visit my father in the hospital at Penn, she would take Septa. Mom, why are you taking Septa? Because it's free, because of my age. Why wouldn't I? So they had probably the last people in America, obviously not the last, but one of the last to have the rotary dial phones. My mom would send me, when I after I graduated Yale and I worked in Florida for years, I have this letter she sent me. Learn to make meals in duplicate so you can save for another day. And, you know, when I grew up, you better finish your damn plate. I mean, when I would take the dishes, if I had any food on my plate, my father would go ballistic. Dad, there's only a little bit of meat. It's next to the bone. Where's the best meat? Next to the bone, you'd have to answer him. So they were very, frugal that way. My mom grew up in a row home in West Oak Lane and went to Girls High. She didn't have money growing up. And my father's mother died when he was 13 of a brain hemorrhage. And the father moved them to a farm in New Jersey, Stockton, near Lambertville. So he worked real hard, and he was captain of a ship in the Navy. He worked on an oil rig, and one summer he was a farmhand in North Dakota another summer. So he's all about hard work. I mean, he used to grab my hand and say, "Where are your calluses?" "You don't have any calluses. I bet your mother still wipes your ass." And I shouldn't have said that, but he was very tough. And he worked, and my mom worked, and my mom's 87 now, and she's working on, my mom's on the board of Temple, on Papa. You know, they don't know how to not work, but I think too much. No, I wish.
I think it's in your blood. It's either in your blood or it isn't. The work ethic, right?
Well,
Like
they call it Protestant work ethic. I don't know. It's not. I'm sure not every Protestant works really hard, but you know, maybe it's in the genes. And, you know, I could sit on my ass. My brother could sit on his ass. My sister, you know, could, you know, not work. But how can you feel good about yourself if you're not being productive? The better I do in business, the more money I can give to help people. The better I do in business, the more pride I have. The better I do in business, the more people I have employed and the more people I'm helping to succeed. So it's a win-win-win at the end of the day.
It certainly is. I think that, you know, you get up every day, at least I do, and say, okay, I'm going to give the best that I can today so that I'm able to help more families, as we in the real estate industry, help more families, you know, move in the city, move out of the city, move to California. And by doing that, we're really helping them change their life in a lot of ways, even with home ownership.
Yeah, and just trying to be a good person in general. When an old lady's crossing the street, needs help, and I don't go to McDonald's anymore, so it's not probably the best example, but if I'm in the food court at 2 Liberty and you have a young person, whether they're African American or Hispanic or not, but they're working at a low paid job, be nice to them, you know, say thank you, say please. I have a book, Say Please, Say Thank You, I think it's called, but just try to be good to people. It makes them smile. And a lot of people have it really, really rough.
Well, you're making such a huge change in this community. How can people help with this? What can they do?
Well, because of COVID and the center not being fully open, we don't really have volunteers now. But if I come to you, or if someone wants to learn more about how they can help with donating, or if people have expertise in some areas, one area I can think of right now, when I drive to my center, often, or when I'm in the center or on the street, there's often kids when I'm on the street, when I don't always park right at the center. Sometimes the little small lot we have is full, so, you know, park down the block. And kids will come up to me that I maybe played chess with when they're like 10 or 12 years old, play basketball with or squash with, and they're like, "Chase, you know, I'm 16, I'm 18, I can't get a job." So eventually I need to be more aware and be able to help no matter what a situation is. So if people control any sort of unions or can get union jobs for kids, I mean, at some point I want to be able to, someone has a problem, What do they want? I have an answer. You know, Chase, can you give me a job? Well, you can ask Josh Claris at the center if he has an opening, but I have some other small businesses. I have 3 or 4, depending what you call businesses, but I have 2 other businesses, 3, about 5 other small businesses, but one's venture, one's real estate, and the others. But the skill set that these kids have isn't conducive to getting a job, say, at one of the places where I have these businesses. At times I've sent their information to the people that run these businesses, but there really hasn't been an opening. And I feel like I failed these kids when they ask me this, and I don't have an answer for them. So I need to do a better job with that. I don't work as hard as my father worked. You know, I try to be the best father I can with my kids, spend a lot of time with my kids, although my daughter's now at Columbia. I do play squash competitively, and I've traveled a decent amount. So my life is a little more diversified, so I don't want to make it sound as if I work 17 hours a day like my father did. I think I work harder than most people, and I have a lot of dreams and ambitions, but I try to split it up. You know, my father didn't have time to play golf or work out or do things like that, and I try to balance my life a little better that way. And I spend a lot of time with my son who's 16, and I spend a lot of time with my daughter as well.
You know, one of the things that you were saying about the kids and not having jobs, I mean, Europe was a great place for them to go as they graduated high school. Do you know if there's plans for that to continue?
So what exactly to continue?
For Europe.
Oh, well, the guy Steven, I'm trying to think of his last name, from Europe. I just connected him with Josh Claris. He's now working somewhere else, but all has to do with job opportunities. So I did connect those two. So a lot of people come to me, Facebook, in different ways. And like a woman may come and say, I help young woman that are 13, 14, 15 learn how to be a woman, you know, learn how to say no to things they should say no to, learn how to dress appropriately, learn, you know, how to address people if they meet someone, they want a job. You know, hi, I'm Lakeisha. What is your name? Would you potentially have an opening? I'm a hard worker. You know, so I have lots of people that end up coming to me that I then, since I don't run the schedule at the center, I bring them to Josh Claris and his team. And then many of these situations, these people have been hired and they still teach at the center. So I have a broad idea of the things that we want, but I bring people that I know and come to me that want to help out and then connect. And so
you're a great connector.
Yeah, I forget the book, you know, you're a connector, 3 different things. Either you're an expert on something, you connect people, and there was another one. I think I'm kind of 2 of the 3, but eventually I want to make sure we have everything. So the jobs are huge. It's not just getting kids also into college. It's do they succeed when they're in college? And not every kid has to go to college. A lot of the unions, they make very good money. So we want everyone to be able to reach their potential. And like I said, we're in the beginning stages of it. I wish we were further along. I think we're doing very well as far as how fast we're getting things done. But someone who's not satisfied. I should be a better squash player. I should be a better parent. I should be doing more at this. I should be making more money with my businesses. You know, I don't rest on where I am. I think not where I should be.
Well, you're either growing or you're dying. So
yeah,
there's only 2 choices. Stagnant isn't one of them.
That's what makes life fun. I mean, to have goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I vote
Wow.
every day for different things. So
We're blessed. We're so lucky to be in a situation where we even know what it is to make a goal, right? Because you're with all these kids that's what you're trying to teach them, and it's a big deal.
yeah, I have a lot more fun spending time with the kids than I do trying to figure out how to fix up, how to make the school much more successful. Mary Cloud Bethune, dealing with, are we going to be the developer and then the construction? So because we're trying to do so much more for this specific neighborhood, a lot more of my time is involved in these big pictures things and less time actually with the kids, which is what I really enjoy. But I know spending time away from the kids working on these big projects is going to have a much greater benefit overall for the kids. But when I'm at my center and there's a meeting going on, usually I try to go on Wednesdays, and we'll have a meeting, say at 2:00, and the kids come in at 3:30, and I start hearing the kids come in. I want to finish the meeting because I really enjoy that time with the kids. I have a good rapport with them, and
that's where all the fun is.
It is, playing chess with them, helping with their homework, asking about their families, playing squash with them, understanding what's causing them pains. Are they having trouble in school, and trying to get them to look at the world sometimes in a different way. Because like I said, they have a lot of pressures on them. Some, it's just physical. They can be attacked. They can be picked on. They don't have the home structure. At least most don't. Who's going to help them with their homework? I mean, probably 80% of fathers aren't around. And some kids, a lot of them have like a father who's in jail, and they haven't talked to their father in 4 years, and maybe they think the father doesn't want to talk to them. And I try to tell them maybe the father's embarrassed. Sometimes the father sends letters and the mother won't let the kids read it. I mean, there's all sorts of sad situations.
How many families do you think the center has impacted?
Well, I would say normally we'd have about 150 kids that come per week. Some of those kids have siblings, that come also. So I would say very directly, probably over 100. That doesn't include squash smarts. That's another 150. So probably a good 250, 300. Certainly with the food shortages and so forth and the COVID, we've branched out into the neighborhood just to really, bring heaters in the winter. We have set up air conditioning in the summer, because Hunting Park is like, when Center City's 100 degrees, it's like 115. I mean, it's crazy how certain parts of the city are 15 degrees hotter than other parts. And so, a lot of the elders there just don't have, air conditioning, and they don't have proper fan. We branched out during the COVID. It's enabled us to do a lot more for those that don't come to the center than we did before. But our goal is not just the kids. Everyone that lives, the 7,000 or so people that live in that catchment area, everyone, we feel we're responsible to do what we can for them. We just got to lay out all the things we want to do, and then go out to the foundations and individuals and say, listen, this is our grand master plan, and would you be interested in helping out the school academically, or the school as far as fixing up the playground? Would you be interested in helping bring a supermarket or some quality food? Would you be helpful in creating jobs, putting in lighting to fix the business corridor so there's not as much, robbery going on at night? Everything. It's not fair that we have what others don't. I mean, I can't just live day to day knowing that there's people that have so much less, and just walk around as if it doesn't matter. It does matter, at least to me.
Oh, it does matter. Isn't that what's a lot of what's going on today in our environment, in our world, in our community, and not just Philadelphia, but all across the country?
Yeah, I'll be controversial and say thank God Biden won. But although my ex and my daughter voted for Trump, so the last time I voted was a long time ago. I'm not necessarily Democratic or Republican, but the divide that Trump caused with the nation, the climate change, the COVID, our allies, it's just, a moderate Republican I probably would go for. But Trump just was so divisive. And then he can't, I play squash matches, tournaments, you lose, you shake the hand. Reminded me, I think, when the Detroit Pistons didn't do that with the Chicago Bulls, and Jordan still hates Isaiah Thomas for that. But, you stuck up, you lost, you shake hands. He's got a right to do to check whether the ballots were counted correctly. But, eventually when he runs out of options, he should do the honorable thing. And hopefully we're gonna heal more. COVID's all-time high in Philly, all-time high in the state, all-time high in the US, all-time high in the world. And it's a shame that a lot of people don't want to protect others. I don't wear the mask all the time when I'm walking outside, but when people are wearing a mask and walking down the sidewalk, I walk onto the street. It's not.
I think you see most people doing that. At least we live in town, so at least in town, most people either have the mask or walk in the street.
Yeah.
Just a courteous thing to do.
And we're just not as courteous to people as we used to be. I mean, I think Trump was a little partly causing that, but I mean, Biden may be older, not much older than Trump, and maybe doesn't know all of his faculties exactly well. Maybe he does, but he seems like a humble, good man, and he'll surround himself with people that'll listen to him. So, or surround himself with people, I mean, that he will listen to.
We shall see what the next 4 years entails.
Yes.
All I know is this, Chase. I got to live my life and do my thing, regardless of whatever else is going on around me, and be a beacon of light and hope for people with a positive attitude. And that's all I try to do on a daily basis, is just to control what's happening here and hopefully help some people along the way and have a little bit of fun while we're doing it.
Yeah, some days the COVID and things going on I get a little depressed, and then I think of what other people have. I mean, I have so much more. I have a squash court and a tennis court and a pool and a gym and a ping pong and cruise ball and air hockey and veggie garden, and I got all those things to do, and other people don't have it. And what right do I have to walk around like in a pissed off mood? So I just quickly think of others, and then I feel I'm so blessed.
And all the people in the community that you're helping.
Yeah, I'm
thinking about them. I drove to I had an appointment last week out in like the Kensington area. So I'm on Kensington Avenue on a Monday morning. I was around this time, and it was bad. And I was a little scared. And I was really, really grateful for everything that I have, because there were so many people on drugs in the middle of the street, barely standing at 9:30 in the morning. And a lot of us have a lot of good things in our life, and I think it's our duty to help others and give back. So I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community. I think it's a lot. There's a lot to do there, a lot of hard work that needs to be done. And I'm willing to help you. And I know there's a lot of people here on the podcast that will hear it that will be willing to help. So you can get that message out there about everything. About
I want to go to the K&A and, Kensington, Allegheny one day. And I keep telling myself when I leave my center, one day I just want to see what it looks like. I see it on TV, but it's the epicenter of the heroin trade in Philadelphia. People come from other states just to, buy their heroin there. And once people get hooked, it's really hard to get away from it. And I don't know whether there should be safe injection sites or not. I mean, there's pros and cons, but I think there should be. But, it's really sad. I'm sure when you were there, it's an eye opener. I mean, people out here in the suburbs, take them to K&A and they would never in their wildest imaginations believe that our country could have people shooting up drugs, standing up on the street, falling, swaying around, and it's open. I mean, they don't get arrested. I'm not saying they should be arrested. It's a whole different subject. What do you do? But it's like a war zone, and it's something that 99 point whatever% of people in this country could not imagine is going on.
Well, it's worse than ever now with COVID. I mean, I've been there many times before because being in the real estate industry, we have, buildings, commercial stuff all over the city that we represent. And this time, though, it was beyond scary. And if you haven't been there, you should take a ride by.
Yeah.
Pretty frightening stuff going on. And it looks worse than it ever did. I had to take some pictures because it was that bad.
Well, Philadelphia, the city, every day I look, just curiosity to see how many murders we have. I think it's 411 as of today. It's the highest it's been since, it's going to be the highest since maybe 1990. I think we had like 506. Last year was the highest since 2007. And we had 53. And this year we're already past it. It's early November. And we're on a pace for like 475. And, the defund the police, what police officer wants to really stick his neck out? I mean, I'm not saying they don't stick their neck out. They're just abandoning. But everything is being, looked at with the police. And I just think they think people don't like them. And I think it's, all the talk of defunding the police and just all the things that have gone on, I think all contributes. The COVID contributes to the murder rate and the crime, what's going on with the defund the police. And it's, you see kids riding these four-wheelers all over the place now. Before it was North Philly, probably Southwest, West, maybe parts of South, but going around City Hall, these four-wheelers, the police got other things, the crime is so high and it's just things
up and down Broad Street in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they're kind of scary. Now we should have a place where they can all go and have fun. That's safe and legal.
Yeah.
But it does seem there's mayhem in the streets everywhere more than there was. And, hopefully with this new vaccine, hopefully it's going to pan out and that can help people get back to work. And hopefully the police can get better training. The guy that was shot in West Philly, not all police have the stun guns. And they're not told to shoot in the leg. If you shoot in the leg and you miss, maybe it ricochets at someone else. But, why do they have to shoot to kill? Why do you have to shoot 14 times? Once it's determined that someone's a threat and it's time to use force, a gun,
Right.
It has to be deadly for it. So
Yeah, that I don't understand. I always wondered why they're not shooting them like in the thigh.
yeah, I read something a week or two ago that if you shoot in the leg and you miss, you can hit innocent people. Some people, if they're on like PCP, you shoot them in the leg, they're like a zombie. They keep coming at you. So, but if you hit someone and they're down and they're not coming at you, for sure, don't keep shooting. I mean, so there should be ways where,
Makes sense.
yeah, someone has a mental issue and the mom calls, the next thing you know, the police come and the son's dead. I mean, I just read yesterday, I think it's New York Times, that something like the chance of getting killed by the police is 30 times greater if you have a mental illness, which kind of makes sense, but that's sad. We want to help the people with the mental illness.
Yeah, there's nothing in place there's not a system there in place for it. So it's like you go to the ambulance or you go to the police, there's nothing in between. There needs to be an in-between person that can come and take care of that.
And if you get police more training, and if every police had a stun gun, well, that's more money. Well, if you defund the police, spend less money funding the police, then they're not going to have these things. So I don't know. People think they have all the answers, and a lot of people they know the answer is A, they know the answer is B. It's not that simple, and people need to be more open to hearing other sides. I always say the smartest people in the world know what they know and know what they don't know, and they know that they don't know that damn much. So I try to be open to everything, to all sides, and try not to make decisions based upon what I think or what I hear someone say. You need to hear a lot of sides. That's why when Trump said climate change is incorrect, well, the scientists are saying it. If you research the scientists deeply and find a flaw in their research, okay. But if you don't, I mean, and all the scientists are saying it, then it probably is correct. So, unless they're getting paid by someone to say that. Well, if they are, then you look a little deeper into it. But if they're like drug companies, but if they're not, they're not. Then, unless I do enough research, I might as well believe what they're saying. But defunding the police, yeah, money I'm sure could be spent more intelligently. Just like with city of Philadelphia, just like with our nation. It's not spend more necessarily, it's spend more efficiently. But you do want all the police to have tasers, and you do want them to learn not to shoot to kill, and you do want them to learn how to deal with the mental health issue. Someone has a knife and they're walking towards me. I don't know how fast the guy was going towards them, but if I can't run and they're going to catch up to me and they're about to stab me, okay. But from a distance, you don't shoot, but they're trained that way. You can't blame the officers. Maybe in the Floyd case, it's a different story, but in this case, I don't think you can blame the officers. Just like in that other case where they went to the wrong home and killed the woman.
Right.
Seems to me that they were given wrong information, went to the wrong home. But they did what they're trained to do. So I don't know enough about that. I just said I shouldn't say which way is right or wrong. I'd have to look deeper into it. But I think the department was at fault there, and the police did what they're supposed to do. And sometimes things happen, but
yeah, and it's all so complicated. I mean, it is. It really is. It really is. But on a lighter note, Chase, what you're doing for the community and being the solution with the center and with the affordable housing and with everything for Hunting Park is truly, truly amazing and inspiring. I'm inspired by talking with you this morning, and I'm happy to help. So thank you for meeting with me on Be the Solution, and let us know if there's anything that we can do and when you're ready for that fundraising. I'll be sure to get the message out to the Philadelphia community.
Thank you very much. North 10th. So the Lenfest Center is my center in Hunting Park, and someone can Google Lenfest Center. And North 10th, I don't know if it's north10th.org exactly. Sounds a little ridiculous, but when I type in North 10th, I find it. But
it comes right up.
Okay, so North 10th is the name of the broader organization where we're trying to do everything within the catchment area of Mary McLeod Bethune School. From the housing to the crime to the business corridor to bringing in quality food to recreational areas to getting jobs for the kids to helping out the elderly, teaching English to the Hispanic population. Everything you can think of, we want to do. We want to help these people, and if it succeeds, the goal, like any business person, is to scale it. So if I can find a way to make it end up being successful there, which it will be, then the goal is to parlay that design as much as it makes sense, the specific design, in other areas. If I can do this in this part of North Philly, then someone else can adopt another part of North Philly or South Philly. So if I can create Chase Lenfest does this catchment area of this school, and someone else can do that for another area, and someone else can do that for another area. I'm trying to be the one to prove the model. And then from there, hopefully it can expand in this city and around the country. So we'll see.
Great work that you do. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community. And thank you for being on Be the Solution today. I wish you and your family a wonderful Thanksgiving, Chase, and I hope to see you soon in person in the very, very soon in future with this eradication of this virus.
Thank you very much, and I'm proud to be a host on your show. And the second time I've done a podcast, so
great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
And to you, everyone out there, have a great day. Say hi to people, say please, say thank you. Bring smiles to people's faces.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, little things, whatever you can do, even hi and goodbye and thank you, little things like that, please. So thank you.
Thanks, Chase. See you soon.
Bye-bye.